Being a silver savage is tough. We're getting older. We gotta take better care of our body, mind, and soul. So in this episode, episode 37, Steve and I decided to sit down and share some of our issues physically, not so much emotionally or psychologically, and what do we do about it? How do we work out? How do we eat? How do we take care of ourselves? And what can other silver savages do to stay in top shape? Steven. It's tradition
I
now.
know, right?
It's tradition.
DK.
So you were just saying what?
It's interesting doing a. This is the earliest we've done a podcast. I feel like it's like like the morning show or something. Today's weather.
And you know what? I think it's also the first time we're not having actually whiskey or bourbon.
And we're talking about health today. So
Yeah.
and that's one of the things I'm going to be abstaining from for a while. I'm sorry.
Are you?
Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers. For our audience, we're having coffee.
So
it is. I always say I drink coffee till about 5 in the afternoon, and then I switch to whiskey.
Let's rephrase that. You're having coffee. I'm having cake batter.
Yeah, you're having some, I don't know, flamboyant.
I'm having sugar with coffee.
A little bit of coffee in your cream.
Yes.
I also got to give a shout out to Fire Department Coffee.
Yes.
If you are not familiar, go and check Fire Department Coffee. They are obviously first responders, firefighters, medics, also former military veterans, and they do give a portion of the proceeds to a variety of charities that have to do with enhancing the safety, the well-being of first responders. So we are happy to support them, being first responders ourselves and veterans.
And it's good coffee.
It is great coffee, actually.
Good coffee.
And not to knock on other veteran-owned coffee companies out there. There's a lot of good ones, and we appreciate them all. But Fire Department Coffee is still small, and we like supporting other small businesses.
Yep,
so
absolutely.
If you guys get the opportunity, check them out online. And if you are by our store, stop by. We have a bunch of it here. You can try it out, and you can buy it here as well.
That's if we don't drink it all first.
Yeah, we've been drinking. We go through probably a bag every 2 days between us. And also, before we get into the meats and potatoes of today's podcast, some new and exciting things are coming out to Silver Savage.
Yes,
right?
yes.
And that will tie in directly to what we're going to be talking about today. But I'll let you explain the products that we're coming up with. I'll just talk about the swag that's coming. We're getting some T-shirts and decals made.
Yep.
They'll be available on our social media stores and on our website store once we get those this week. Well, not this week. We're already Thursday. Next week. At least the health product should be in. The decals have been ordered. T-shirts are being designed. So look forward to all of that. And we appreciate the support of our listeners that keep asking for that stuff.
Yes.
So thank you guys. So, we're going to talk about health and fitness today, but because we're talking about some products we're putting out there. How about you?
Yeah. So two of them actually came from my complaints, right? Our products came out of the idea necessity. Yes. We're over 40, and even if you're not over 40, but your active lifestyle, you have a job that's very demanding mentally, physically, etc. One was a pain bomb, right? We wanted something, your typical pain bombs out there are petroleum based, a lot of chemicals. You put them on, they're nasty, they're oily, and you can't be on the go, right?
And they smell funky. And I'll be honest, if I put any of those pain bombs like Bengay or whatnot, I put it on my thighs, my balls start itching. And they're burning.
Well, they have. I mean, I would purposely do that, but anyway.
But we digress.
We digress. That's another topic. But the idea, they're very focused, very chemical based, and we wanted something that you could wear actively, right? One that was natural, because already our health is being affected, age wise, and what we do for a living, work, however demanding it is. And something that helped with stress, right? Helped us mentally, because that's one thing, especially men in our age group tend to neglect, and our, where we come from.
That alpha personality tends to go against the taking care of self.
Right. So we wanted something that we knew we were going to need and get that therapeutic benefit without us knowing we were getting it. So we came up with the pain bomb, right?
We're cheating ourselves.
Yes, we had to fake ourselves. We play mind games with ourselves. So many of our listeners and followers knew the product we had before. Very effective. They loved it. We came with a better, improved product now.
Yeah, we couldn't go with the same one because of several restrictions.
It's Buttercup Pain Bomb, right?
Which it's called Buttercup Pain Bomb, but we have to understand it is Suck It Up Buttercup. That's the full name.
Yes, and again, it's for the active person. We've got nothing but positive reviews from our own members here. Even our own staff,
and we tried it,
and ourselves. And the beauty of it, once you put it on, you ain't got to wash your hands. I rub it into my arms, I put it on my chest, and just let
where else do you rub it?
Everywhere. All right, and I just let the aromatherapeutic qualities do its thing.
I'm sure it does its thing, buddy. All right, so that's the pain bomb. It's coming. I'll be honest, we've had people with arthritis try it on. They said it does wonders. We're gonna talk a little bit about our lifting routine in a little bit, and you know, one of the things that I noticed since lifting a lot heavier is, you know, you develop some kinks. It's going to happen. My elbow on my right arm was bothering me. And for the first time, I've actually used that pain bomb myself because I've never actually tried it before. Right. I knew what's in it. So I knew how to push it, but I never tried it. And I've been putting it on. And I'm not going to say that it healed the problem, but it solved the pain. I mean, I could function and it smelled good.
Yes,
I'm not gonna lie.
And that's the idea. It's to keep you going,
smelling myself,
to keep us moving, because the body emotion stays in motion.
I was smelling myself, and I like when you were smelling me.
Yeah, I mean, I do that anyway.
That is also
it doesn't
true.
matter. And then the second product, which again kind of stemmed from our lifestyle as police officers, is working long hours. You know, one of the things I know I suffer with, and we're going to get to the health aspect of it, is high blood pressure. Right, working midnights, drinking Red Bulls, coffee didn't help. You know. I mean, it's okay now. We work out. Okay. You know, I still drink the occasional Celsius, and I just read an article that they're not exactly good for you.
They're not as healthy as people make themselves.
As you've told me as well. My second wife, because my wife told me the same thing, and I'm like, all right, let me start listening to all my wives. All right, so we wanted to create again a natural product. When we went to the apothecary, they basically told us we can create an inhaler that will naturally stimulate the mind, give you focus, and keep you alert and awake for a certain amount of hours.
Do you remember any of the ingredients that are in it?
I remember some of them. I know there's Roman chamomile, there's lavender, there's peppermint, and a few other things that I can't.
And the idea was to do actually it's a dichotomy, almost two things simultaneously. It's energize you, but also calm the mind.
Yes,
which sounds counterintuitive in a sense, but it's so good.
Yes, I remember when we first came out with it, and we were at an event, at a veterans fundraising event, and a mother bought it for her son who suffered from significant anxiety and PTSD. And I remember getting an email from her saying that she loved it. She ordered a whole bunch more. We had a couple of SWAT guys when we first introduced it who were very reluctant to try it at first.
Because you walk around with this little thing, it looks like a silver bullet, right? Only it's black. And you stick it in your nose.
Yes.
Right.
And you know, and inhalers have existed, right, forever. You know, Vicks and all these other companies, but they're designed for, you know,
respiratory chest congestion.
So we decided to take the same approach. And I never leave home without it. I know Mike never leaves home without his. My sister, and when I told her we were coming out with it again, she was very excited. A couple firefighters I know are looking forward to it, and I really would love the first responder community, especially those that work long hours, not just first responders, anyone who works long hours. You just keep it in your pocket, you know, stay away from those high, you know,
sugar and chemicals.
Yes, sugar and chemicals. I know I've had to. And I love the name. I think you came up with the name on this one, which was the nasal Java.
I know I came with the Buttercup one. I think it was a collaborative effort, though. I mean, we sat here and we were spitballing ideas.
Yeah, we were all just spitballing ideas. Right. But the idea was nasal Java, just to get that attraction to, because the caffeine addictions and stuff like that. And it works. Like I said, I never leave home without it. Never.
And we've had people, you included, tell me in the past that I don't need coffee. A pre-workout is I just use that and I'm good to go.
I know we have gyms inquiring about them now. So
all right, so let's get into what we decided we're going to chat on today. We decided we're going to concentrate on health and fitness specifically for our demographic, right? And let's define our demographic first. So you and I are both in our mid-40s. right? One of us is a little older than the other.
I'm like mid 40s. I'm only 42.
Well, I'm 47, so it averages.
Are you? I thought you were 45.
No, I'm old.
You're not 47.
I'm 47.
Then I'm 35.
All right. So we're in the mid 40s, and
ish.
We abused our bodies over the years, right? So between military, and people don't understand the abuse, the military, the toll on the body, right? And regardless of where you are, just being in those military boots, which are not the most orthopedic type of footwear, jumping out of airplanes, carrying heavy loads on your back, running, sprinting, I think there's a lot more awareness nowadays than there was in the mid 90s when I went in, and late 90s for you.
Oh God, yes.
But, at the time, being mindful of posture and kinesiology and body movement wasn't prominent. So we did stuff that nowadays any athletic trainer would look at and is like, what the fuck are you doing?
Right.
But that took a toll. And then I'm going to let the audience listen to your stories in policing, but some of the encounters you had that took a toll on your body.
God, yes. And it's funny you mentioned that. I just read an article in Marine Corps Times. They now have physiotherapists, civilian physiotherapists attached to infantry units.
I think that's genius though, because if you want to prolong the life, the lifespan of an operator, right? You got to take care of them.
Yes.
There's a significant investment of time and money in that person if you want to get the most out of it.
Right. I just remember reading the article and all I said was, you're welcome. Because it was right. Those of us who had to be the guinea pigs.
And the advancement usually or historically was always on the technology side, better helmets, better weapons, better, vehicles or whatnot. Right. And I'm happy to see that there's a slight shift, not on the expense of technology, but towards the human element.
Right. And you think about longevity, right? You said it. You both, as well as I, whether it's a basic infantry unit or even an advanced special operations unit, you're talking about 34 is considered old, right?
Yep.
You're getting old. And that's not, but old in the sense that your body has taken some.
If you went in at 18, that's 16 years of putting that pounding on your body.
Yeah. Jumps out of planes, heavy, packs, all that stuff. That's your body is considered old.
I did not have one good jump. I hated each and every one. And we talked about it. I don't like heights to begin with, but the landing is the thing that bothers me the most.
I did a lot of fast roping. I never jumped out of a airplane parachuting wise in the military, but it's just as bad. I mean, you're coming down
fast on your feet.
That's why it's called fast roping.
Right. And I did static line. I didn't do any of the halo, the high altitude, low opening, right? The free falling. And we used in the 90s canopies that did not give you too much flexibility in maneuvering or decelerating or anything like that. And we came down to earth fast and hard. And then people ask me, why do you not want to go skyjumping? Because it sucks.
It's just falling. So, I don't want to fall out of an airplane.
No, the airplane's working fine. I'll stay right here.
Yes. Well, all right. So let's digress. All right. I know we both deal with stuff. My biggest significance is, and I know I've mentioned it before, is I've taken abuse in the Marine Corps. I injured my legs in operations. In the Army Reserves, I got injured. But, there were typical injuries.
Stop breaking my office. This is a good picture. Here, I'll show you today. For the audience that are watching the video.
The haka.
This is the haka that was at my wedding. You can see Steve, prominent, myself.
Yes. There occasion that I was able to kneel down.
You led the haka. For those not familiar, haka is a Maori war dance. So we did one at the wedding, honoring first me and second my wife, Tyler. Michael's in the picture too, my father-in-law. We're going to put it aside so don't break it.
Yeah, I know.
Maybe that's to force you to stay closer to the microphone.
Yeah,
I think that was
close to the mic. Yes, it was. Or it's just because I'm so damn big. I
big.
might have flexed and
hit the wall. Did you tear a shirt?
I think so.
I'm gonna put that video on this podcast. So if you watch the video, I'm gonna post me tearing a shirt.
Yes, that was a good one.
Yeah.
And anyway, so that being said, I think with my career path, one of the most significant, consistent and degrading injuries I've had were my knees. All right. Which translated into my back. I'm not even talking about the physiological health yet. All right. But I did come out.
Physiological.
I mean, biological, the insides,
anatomical,
whatever. The insides. All right.
You cut me deep.
I did. So I came out of the Marine Corps with high blood pressure and hearing loss, but that's besides the point, right?
So before you went into the service, you had no medical issues?
I was relatively healthy. I had some minor knee injuries from inline skating, aggressive inline skating, rock climbing, and martial arts, but nothing significant.
I love imagining you on inline skates.
I was sponsored, man. I was good.
I'm sure you were.
I
still don't know what to think of it. Like, carry on.
I don't know. And for some reason, they call me White Mike. To this day, I don't know why.
White Mike?
White Mike.
Does Michael White know that your name was
Mike? I told him that. If you ever come with me to New York and you run into guys that I used to skate with, you'll just hear them yell out White Mike. And I'll respond to it, but to this day, I don't know why.
So you're in office with 2 white Mikes?
Technically, yes. So a Hispanic White Mike and
a white Mike.
White. Yeah, so I was relatively healthy going into the military. And that was what I knew getting out. Now I'm realizing how many chemicals and heavy metals I was exposed to, which, I was filling out a medical questionnaire and I had to go back. I'm like, holy crap, I was exposed to radioactive materials, toxic metals.
You did a lot of explosive and ordnance disposal.
Yes. So I was, you name it, I was exposed to it. I'm surprised I'm still standing now. And then, becoming a scout sniper and infantryman in the Army Reserves, I thought it was taking a step back, but you're not. You're still exposed to it. You're still dealing with explosives, breaching, and
now you're carrying different loads on you.
Correct.
Distances.
I remember I carried a system at the time. It was called an APOB. I don't even know if they still use it. It's called a MIC-LIC on tanks, but it launches the grenade on strings. Mm-hmm. I carried the portable version of it. So it was
How much does that weigh?
It was pretty significantly heavy, but it was a 2-man team. We'd come together, drop down on your back, right? So you got this heavy load on your back. You're throwing yourself on the ground. You're taking it off. You attach the 2 packs because the cords are separated. Then it has a manual activation where you turn around. I'm thinking like, holy shit, this is like lowest bidder kind of shit. Like,
man, technology came a long way.
And then you launch it. It does the same thing as the mounted version does. But someone thought, hey, why not send an infantryman to do it to save the $2 million vehicle from getting destroyed? We can replace the infantryman, right? But anyway, so, all that, and then going into law enforcement where you're spending the majority of your time pretty much standing or sitting, right? And you're going from 0 to 100. Sometimes.
And the thing about sitting, what people need to understand, especially on the patrol side, when you have that duty belt on, it is uncomfortable sitting. Weight distribution is off. I don't know one person that comes out of after a significant time in patrol without back issues.
No, and not only that, like I had actual pretty significant like tears, like stretch marks from the duty belt alone, not even from fluctuation of weight and size, just from the pressure the duty belt puts on your waist and pulling down. I had tears around my waist, the subcutaneous tears. Mm-hmm. So it's that much pressure. And thankfully, the advent of the outer vest carrier kind of helped that. But for me, it was too late. So long story short, between physical engagements and you name it, ended up having essentially 6 knee procedures, but 2 major surgeries, which you were there for one. And 1 significant back surgery and a significant back procedure, which changed everything for me.
I was also there for.
Yes, you were there for. But changed everything for me, right? Because I was very active. I was a trail runner still, a mountain biker, all that. Rock climber, jiu-jitsu. All that stopped, came to a screeching halt. And I thought it was the end. I started gaining weight, obviously depression because it's going to affect that. And then, once I got medically retired and came here full time, your policy is everyone works out. And this is where that healthy, proper working out, because I told you right off the bat.
So wait on the workout for a second.
Yes, because I don't know how to work out. But that being said, taking the proper response and steps, good diet, which I wasn't doing great at it as well, minimizing the pressure on my back and my knee, losing weight. I'm getting there. I'm getting better. Okay. I'm getting better, right? I cut back in the taquitos from 7-Eleven. They're just so good. You can't say no when you walk by them.
I say no to it all the time. Every time you put it next to me.
It's just so good. But, having to address those things, because it changed my whole life. At home, here, fighting, I had to change the way I fight, because I couldn't do the things I did before. And it affects your mind, my knee affects my back affects my knee. Thankfully, I've gotten to a point now, and we're going to talk about fitness, that I've been able to surpass the injury and its limitations to where I was able to strengthen my back and that in turn is helping me now strengthen my knee, or what the term I learned was bulletproofing.
Yep.
Yep. So that's where I'm at right now.
And one of the first things we did with you when we started lifting together is work on form.
Yes.
Because it's so easy for us when I wish I knew in my early lifting days, right, in my early 20s and so forth, or not that I didn't know about proper form, is that you have your young mindset. It's like, I just want to lift as much weight as possible, so form goes by the wayside. And then you get in your 40s and you're still lifting the same way, but your body can't compensate the same manner. So it becomes an issue. On my end, I had no significant medical issues pre-military other than being out of shape and being fat. Military fixed that. And to the majority of my service, aside from basic wear and tear, I didn't come up with any significant ailments. So I'm pretty fortunate on that sense. I feel it now. I feel the pounding on my knees. It's cumulative. I don't hear very well, from a lot of bangs and shots and whatever, right? But overall, I can't complain. When I talk to other veterans and I see what they endured and how they came out, I'm in pretty good shape. My ailments came after the military. Two main things affect my fitness level today. One is in 2007, I was diagnosed with a tumor on my spinal cord.
It was a tumor.
I kept saying it's not a tumor. I was wrong.
It was a tumor.
It was a tumor. And the way that came about, I lost sensation in my left arm. I was in pain, losing weight. They guessed different things from inflammation of the muscles between my rib cage to all kind of things. Eventually, MRI showed a tumor between from my C2 to my C5 on my spinal cord. And I remember going to the surgeon, and he's giving options, and I didn't want to have surgery because it's a spinal cord. It's a scary thing. And he goes, well, one of the first things you're going to notice when that tumor actually starts taking its effect is you're not going to be able to get it up anymore. No, I cut that fucker out. So
give me a knife.
But it was a sombering experience in the sense that if they were to mess up anything, that high on my spinal cord would have affected not only my limbs, my ability to move and so forth, it would have affected my respiratory system. I would have to be on a ventilator, essentially. Right. And signing to not resuscitate and leaving wheels and all that sort of stuff. I didn't want to live like that. I pulled the plug. Luckily, the surgery went well. That was in 2007. We're now, 16 years after, no real issues. The two residuals I have, lack sensation periphery. So if you touch my limbs, my legs, my arms, anything, I don't feel it, which is an unfair advantage sometimes when I fight. But I do feel on the inside, because people always ask, like, if you get hit hard, what do you feel? I'm like, yes, I feel internally like bones impact and so forth. But if you try to tickle me or pinch me or whatever, I don't feel any of that. And also my grip, specifically on my right hand, is significantly diminished. And trying to compete in tactical games and other things, that is my limiting factor, my grip on my right hand. So
which is funny because, like, we all work out together and I see you deadlift over 300 pounds, but you can't pinch grip like 20 pounds.
Yeah, it's funny. It's weird how that works. I feel like I can use straps when I deadlift, so I can't use them when I work on my grip. And it's gotten better. I think my body figured a way to compensate some.
It always does.
But it's gonna be limited, right? I'll never be able to hold as much weight as I would have if I didn't have this issue. Right. So that was one. The other thing is has to do with aging. A few years ago, I started noticing that I'm tired all the time. And I went to a friend, Dr. Eric Nager, who was on a podcast. I'm going to put a link to his podcast twice now, right? But specifically talking about this, I think it was the second episode. And he said to me, well, you're just burning the candle on both ends. And I said, well, this feels different. I mean, I know what tired is and what fatigue is. This feels different. And he did a few tests and comes back that my testosterone was extremely low, like single digits low. And my only symptom really was tired. Right. But we've been dealing with that, and I think that affected a lot of how I functioning today. Is my testosterone now, I'm happy to state, is above 1,000. So it's pretty awesome. I feel strong.
Yeah, I need to do that. That's next on my chopping block.
Yeah. But you mentioned before heavy metals and poisonous stuff. one thing I give Eric a lot of credit for, he's not big on just going straight into supplementing with testosterone and
Right.
whatnot. It's like, let's find out the root cause and see if we can let your body naturally correct itself. And one of the tests was a heavy metal test, and turns out my lead was off the charts. And I would assume it's from shooting as much as we do,
Right.
and taking poor steps in washing my hands before I eat and stuff like that, which we always tell our students to do,
Right.
but
we
we're
never
not
do
good
it
about
ourselves.
doing it ourselves. So I think that cumulative effect. So I did chelation for about a year trying to get those metals out of me. And my testosterone did go up naturally, but it only went up to about 300, which it was within range for a normal adult, but I
Right.
don't consider myself a normal
I
adult.
wouldn't either.
Yeah, I want to be above the top mark. So we started doing testosterone. So let's talk about what's your health routine nowadays? What do you do? So you talked about some adjustments to your diet. What are you doing in terms of that?
So again, my diet is horrible. If it weren't
I will attest to that.
if it weren't for my wife, I would have overdosed on Skittles a long time ago. So
I think Skittles are considered a health group.
I
food
thought they
group.
were a salad because of all the colors, but whatever.
Okay.
That
makes sense. I see the logic.
But one thing I've started doing is starting to eat breakfast. I used to skip breakfast a lot, which is detrimental. I noticed every time I started skipping breakfast, I started gaining weight.
It's funny. So many people are big onto that intermittent fasting,
Mhm.
and there's a lot of science to support it. I
Mhm.
can't do that either.
Yeah.
I need to have breakfast, even if it's just a protein shake in the morning. I need to have something.
And even if I'm not hungry, I make myself eat. And I realize once I start eating, my body kind of kicks into overdrive and accepts it. And I eat healthier when I eat breakfast, especially a hearty breakfast. If I don't, I eat like crap.
Yeah, because you start grabbing whatever when you're hungry.
Yes. So definitely a good breakfast. I'm trying to eat smaller lunches, but more protein-based lunches to keep my energy going throughout the day. And then a good hearty dinner, a good salad, turkey, a good, lean meat. That's not, too bad for me. So I'm being consistent.
Good. That's important. So I think the general statement that I used to use as a personal trainer, back in the day, is you want to eat breakfast like a king, lunch like a queen, lunch like a prince and dinner like a beggar. And so your meals get smaller throughout the day, right? I find myself very much like you. I have a decent breakfast if I have my protein shake first thing, but then at about 9 mid-morning, I'll have typically like an egg and cheese sandwich or something. Right. I need that hearty breakfast. Lunch is typically smallest for me also, and then dinner, what I would consider to be a lean and green.
Right.
So some lean meat and a vegetable.
And one thing I noticed, and you said it jokingly, but I realized it was a necessity. You always say, you got to feed the machine. You got to feed the machine. And you've seen my physical change. I've gotten a lot bigger, more muscle mass, which I've never had before. And I'm realizing I'm hungry a lot more.
It will happen when you work out, right?
Right.
And it's not a bad thing. People fear food. Like, don't fear food. It is a necessity.
Right.
It is fuel.
And your body is hungry for a reason, right? It's just a matter of eating the right thing for your body.
So one thing I've been telling people I speak to that ask for advice is just to favor protein. If you prioritize protein, right? And I heard it from a bunch of other people. I did not come up with that. But the idea is that it's more saturating. So if you have a big amount of protein with every meal, then you're less likely to fill up on the less nutrient foods.
Empty calories,
exactly,
and whatnot.
So that's what I do. One other thing I started doing is really drinking a lot more water.
Yes, water. Oh my God, yes.
Historically, I did not drink water. I used to joke around, but it really wasn't a joke. Is I would drink coffee at about 5 in the afternoon and then switch to beer at the time. Now it's bourbon, but now I carry around this bottle of water, and I'll drink a few of those a day. And I feel it when I don't. If I don't have enough water, I feel it in my body. I'm a lot more lethargic.
Yep.
Lethargic, is that a word?
Lethargic.
Yes.
I
can't say THS. Lethargic. Anyways, I feel the difference if I don't drink water. So I feel my diet is better. Do you take any supplements?
I take supplements, yes. More geared towards like what I deal with, like high blood pressure, stuff like that. So glucosamine.
Glucosamine helps with blood pressure?
Oh no, I'm sorry, turmeric.
Okay.
I take glucosamine for my joints.
Yeah. I was about to say, I won't be surprised. I mean, they find so many benefits.
But turmeric is one of my added supplements for my blood pressure. But I take a slew of medications too, which I don't want to take forever. My goal is to get off of them. Hopefully, I'm actually going to one of the things I'd like to see Dr. Nager for as well is my blood pressure, because apparently the wives were talking during the CCW class and he's doing studies on high blood pressure. So I got thrown under the bus, which I'm perfectly fine going to him for, because I would like to bring that down.
There's so many people that, there's so much information available in open source. Like you go online and you put, okay, high blood pressure or fitness for men and whatever. And there's so much information comes out and everybody's an expert.
Right.
So it becomes an issue. Where do you, because there's some good information out there, but there's also junk information out there, and differentiating between the two is a challenge. And that's where I found working with a professional, be it a physician or trainer or whatever, really comes in handy, because not that he necessarily tells me something I don't know. He allows me to decipher between the shit out there and the nuggets of gold.
Right.
And that's really important. I take, again, working with Dr. Nager, I got on a bunch of different vitamins and supplements, primarily initially when we're trying to naturally increase testosterone, but I stayed on a lot of it. I take one good multivitamin, and he's very big on the quality of the vitamins too. So not just, the stuff you buy at Giant, but where you get it from and so forth. I take zinc. Now I take copper, just because I had to increase my zinc intake. And one of the things that happens, I guess, copper gets depleted. So I take in copper. I take vitamin Z, vitamins D, and I take a thing called Olibasil at night. It allows my brain to kind of quiet down a little bit, so I sleep better. It's all natural. I don't take any medication, honestly. And then what else I take? I take glycine, which is amino acid that also helps in the production of testosterone. So I think that's, and essential oils, fatty oils.
Yep.
I take those, and that's it. So it sounds like a lot, and if you see my pill box, it looks like a lot, but honestly, it's all natural vitamins.
And you mentioned something. You said, you take the one to help calm your mind, and that's one part, especially men in our age group, even not, getting close to it. We tend to focus on the body and we forget the mind, right? And there's supplements for the mind. Fish oil is good for the brain as well, and that's something that I've realized as
Q10.
So it's something I realized as well. I take a natural, it was actually prescribed by my doctor, but it's a natural remedy and it helps. The same thing, calm my mind. And I take it in the morning and I take it at night. That way, you don't get overly stressed and you can focus, etc. And of course, I have my inhalers, which are all essential oils.
Right. The inhalers actually help a lot with that. But I find at night, if I do not take, I feel the difference. If I do not take that holy basil, let's say I ran out and while I'm waiting for more to come, so I may go a couple of nights without it, I wake up many more times, and often it's because my brain is just racing. Like I start thinking, and being a business owner, our brain is always running, right? What do I need to get done tomorrow? What are new ideas that are coming, right? So, I don't sleep well because of that. So what the Olibasil does, it's not a sleeping aid per se. It's just, I don't wake up as much. My brain doesn't keep me up.
And that's important. And again, because I used to be a heavy melatonin taker.
Oh, yeah, right.
And people don't realize if you take too much melatonin for too long, your body will stop producing it. So it kind of has an opposite effect of it, right? It becomes dependent on what you're putting in. So I would, get off of it, get back on it, until I realized it wasn't the fact that I couldn't fall asleep. It was the fact that I kept getting up because my mind was racing and stuff like that. And I'm a mouth breather, but I now have a strap on. I mean, I have a mouth chin strap. You know what I mean? A mouth chin strap on. Well, they make mouth tape, but I felt like I'm like kidnapping myself or something. So
I probably liked it.
So I got one of those chin straps. They come with CPAP machines, so all those firefighters out there know what I'm talking about. But it keeps my mouth closed while I sleep, and I realized that was a big thing too. I know.
When I upload this to YouTube, they always ask, "Is this appropriate for kids or not?" And I oftentimes says no, but I don't know. You start talking about strap-ons. We gotta jump the line.
I did say strap-on, but it's a chin strap-on, a chin strap that straps around, keeps your mouth closed while you sleep.
Where you put it, it's up to you.
I get apnea. I was getting dry mouth, and again, there's a lot of healthy bacteria in our mouths that we tend to neglect as well. Mouthwashes, too much mouthwash, mouth breathing can have detrimental effects on those bacteria that in turn are supposed to have positive effects with oxygen saturation in the insides of our body. And I've noticed since I've been using my strap on, I've been sleeping a lot better as well.
I'm sure you would.
And sleeping through the night in conjunction with these other supplements. But these are the little things we don't
we're going to have to get separate hotel rooms now next time
no,
we
we're
travel.
not. No, we're not. I'm going to strap your face to my face with my strap on. So, but
I got nothing.
But again, those are the little things we tend to neglect, right? And that are going to help, like we were in the book we were learning about, right? 1% gains, right? It's going to give you those 1% gains, and those 1% gains are eventually going to equal to 100%.
You mentioned that mouthwash. It's amazing to me how many people kind of count on those for oral hygiene. What the reality is, there's so many negative effects to them. The more and more I listen to podcasts that have to do with health and fitness, I read a lot more about it, right? Because it is part of what we do here as a business. Right. And all of these experts are coming out against it. They're like, it's one of the worst things that ever happened to modern civilization is the dependency of those mouthwashes.
Yeah.
Not to say that you should completely avoid it, but they say once or twice a week.
Yeah, sparingly.
So interesting that you mentioned that.
Well, I learned that the same way you did. I pick up things from you. Like, that's what Silver Savages do, right? We depend on each other. We learn from each other. And I actually picked that up from you, and I started applying it because I used to be a heavy dependent person on mouthwash. I just, my OCD is like, I'd brush my teeth and then I'd do mouthwash and then I'd floss. And I was realized I was killing more good bacteria than bad.
Interesting.
Same thing when we take antibiotics, right? Yep. We affect our good, the probiotics in our stomach. So you want to supplement that, and we don't think about that. And you have to maintain that balance, you know?
So let's talk about fitness. So, our fitness, I guess our fitness needs are a little different than they were prior.
I'd say significantly different for me.
But I also say, because we are Silver Savages, right? My life now, I would say if I had to go and operate now, right, militarily speaking, I'm probably in as good, if not possibly better in some areas today than I was when I was 18, 20. Because at that time, I didn't know what my body's capabilities are. I didn't train smart. I wasn't optimizing my capabilities. I mean, you see me lift. I am stronger now than I was ever. Even without feeling my legs and having to learn how to walk again, I run faster than I ever did. We teach tactics. So I move around, I shoot better, I support firearms better now. So if I had to go back now, I'll probably be better than I was before. So let's talk about our fitness routine. Let's share it with our audience because we live together. One thing that we do on Masada is, as a team, we work out every day,
which has been a life changer for me, because I wouldn't have done it if it weren't for the motivation that you, Mike, Alex,
that have the peer pressure sometimes.
Yeah, that we all push on each other. There's more days where I don't want to work out than I do want to work out, but now that I finally gotten to that point where I look forward to it.
Yep. And we do something every time. Even if the other day it was a cardio day, right? So I got on the rower, and you're like, damn, you went and started jumping rope and doing your thing. And, it wasn't a long workout for you. I think you were done in about 10 minutes, but it was more of a HIIT workout. Yeah. But you wouldn't have done it otherwise. So there's a lot to be said. Some people like to work out alone. And I get it. I'm not necessarily, I don't know. I can't criticize that if they're self-motivators and driven like that. I find that first of all, having a spotter allows me to feel more comfortable pushing heavier weights. There's the competitive element of it, right? And then there's also I can't skip a workout because I can't sit in my office while everybody else is out there lifting weights. I got to go out. And we are fortunate in the sense that our office is a gym.
Yes.
So
yes, that's a big deal. And again, for me, with the injuries that I have, I mean, it affected me mentally. That you were helping me rehabilitate, and like you said, I'm the strongest I've ever been in my life. I'm probably 4 times stronger than I was when I was in the military, and I'm seeing it. I've never been a person who liked bulk, but now it's become like my focus.
Yeah, but the bulk is also functional because we also fight, right? So I don't think our strength and bulk. I put on. Over the past few months, I'm 190 now. I've never been above 175. So I put a significant amount of weight. Not any of it is fat because my pants still wear 31 waist, pants. I'm not getting fatter. So it is bulk. And you mentioned it. We're working out at a restaurant teaching in Texas, and you walk behind me like, BK, your back looks big. And then my wife was saying something about my chest, and somebody was saying something about my legs. So not to toot my own horn in a sense, but other people are noticing it, right? So the idea is that I don't feel that bulk is affecting my performance, athletically speaking.
No, and it shouldn't. If it's restricting any normal function of life, then you're probably at that me head stage, and you should start competing because you're getting big. You know,
I'm thinking, I give tactical games. I'm saying tactical games in a generic term. There's a bunch of other leagues out there, right? But some sort of a discipline that incorporates fitness and tactical abilities, right? And by the way, if any of our listeners wants to try something like that, April 30th, we're doing something. I'm Masada in Maryland, using the Mantis system. So it's all lasers rather than live fire.
Yep, save money on ammo.
Yeah, but the evolutions that we came up with are true tactical evolutions. It's not, for lack of a better term, CrossFit with a little bit of target shooting. It will require tactical thinking, tactical disciplines, movement, and so forth. So it's going to be fun. But anyways, I would like to win one of those. That is on my bucket list.
It's still on mine too, but my knee has always been restricting me, but I'll get past it.
Exactly, but we got to keep working. I know in the tactical games I competed, as I said, my grip has been my limiting factor. There was one event where we had to do farmer carries with 120 pounds bars, right? And there's no way my right hand can hold that. So I had to take one bar using both hands, then take the other bar using both hands. So it cost me time. So I ended up not winning, right, because of that.
But you still rank pretty high in your age.
Yeah, right? I always rank top 5 because I make up for it in my shooting. My shooting is pretty spot on, and my cardiovascular ability, so I can events that are less grip centric, I do really well on. So it balances itself out. My goal is to win one, and I'm going to keep working on my grip, whatever I need to do to get it to a point where it doesn't hinder me as much. And one day I want to get podium and ideally first place.
Yeah.
So that's a bucket list for me. And having goals, I think, is important.
Absolutely.
That's why we keep signing up for events. We're doing that Rock in May.
Fingers crossed.
Well, we're going to do it. If I need to carry you, I'll carry you.
Yeah, we've already talked about the fact that
but that's a goal for you. I mean, the idea that for you, it's not I want to say it's not a long rock. It's 12 miles. It's not child's play, right? It's 12 miles in a specific amount of time. You got to find waypoints. Mm-hmm. It's run by GoRuck, one of their events. But if people find a 5K, if people find, a tactical game type event, a CrossFit games, whatever it is, having something to train for does wonders for your mind in terms of staying motivated.
Right. And you see your gains, right? Like we see our gains with the incremental increases in weights and whatnot. And like you said, it becomes a self-challenge, not just a friendly competition amongst each other, which we'll never be able to really compete against each other.
No, we're so different. All of us in our strengths and weaknesses.
In so many different ways. I mean, you can deadlift so much more than me, but I'll military press so much more.
Your upper body is ridiculous.
But it's good to challenge yourself. And like you said, that's been my goal, right? You've helped me reach a healthy plateau for my back, right? Other than, a fusion, which I think I can avoid now for a very long time, thanks to health and fitness, my knee is the next hurdle, right? And I keep saying I really want a knee replacement because that's really where I'm at, but they won't do it because I'm young. So now I got to find another way, right? And that's bulletproofing the knee, strengthening my quads, strengthening my calves, and just strengthening that area around it so that I can do those things. So that's my goal now. I gotta overcome this knee because that's the one thing debilitating me right now.
Yeah, no, and you're doing great. So for our listener, our workouts, we try to change them every 6 to 8 weeks just to keep that muscle confusion thing going. Our current workout is actually a whole body workout every time, where we lift heavy on one body part. So upper body push, upper body pull, and lower body, right? So we go heavy on the one body part and lighter on the other two. But you end up, so let's say we're doing heavy chest press one day, but then the next time we do a workout, we're going to do another chest exercise, but it's going to be a lighter, let's say an incline dumbbell chest press, right? But we're not trying to push as much weight on that. So you work a muscle group 3 times a week. One of those is really concentrated on, the other 2 not so much. I think this one actually has 4 days because I dedicated a day for delts also. I like working delts. So it has its own day now. But so legs, some sort of a chest tricep delts exercise, and another back biceps rear delts exercise, right? and we do that 3 days a week or 4 days a week with the Delts Day now, and then the days in between we do cardiovascular activity.
Yes. Which all of us have a different way of doing.
Yeah,
cardio.
Sometimes it's hitting a bag, sometimes it's jumping rope. I started to really enjoy the rower. I'm up to 10,000 meters now.
I do my little HIIT workouts with weighted bats and kettlebells.
Yeah. And it's pretty funny to watch you. It's not funny. It's because it's, for me, it's a jealousy thing because it is grip centric. I wouldn't be able to do it. It's like fuck. But it's pretty awesome to watch. We go rocking now as a group. So, as long as you keep moving. So if we need to give advice to any of our listeners, and I want to kind of make a note that we know nothing about our listeners, their physical limitations, their access to gyms or lack thereof, and the level of experience in working out. So certainly consult a physician and a professional trainer by you. But what's important for me to convey to our listeners is that just because you're in your mid 40s, late 40s, and even older, it's not an excuse to not work out. Some of the happiest people I've seen are in the 80s, and a lot of it has to do because they're constantly physically active.
Right. And like, as the saying goes, and once I heard it, I got it, especially after I got injured, was a body in motion stays in motion.
Yep.
When I was sedentary, my injuries got worse.
Oh, yeah. I always say the day I stop working out, that's when things are going to start breaking down really bad.
Mm-hmm.
So certainly go to a gym, find something. You can work out at home. Plenty of good apps up there. I'm a big fan of the Brute Force bags, the sandbags.
Yes.
You can buy one and then you just follow the app and you can do workouts. You have a daily workout. Plenty of good resources out there. Certainly reach out to us if you want to get advice or guidance on any of that. If you come to our classes, one thing I like about our self-defense classes is that it's a good combination of skills and fitness.
Right.
Just because we're trying to simulate stress. So we're trying to get a physiological response, right? So join a self-defense group. We talked about in the last podcast, but any kind of movement would be a good movement.
Mm-hmm.
Diet. You said you were staying away from alcohol for a little bit.
Yes.
I'm not going to go quite that far. I'm still going to have my one drink a night, but I'm trying to limit it.
And just to be a little forthcoming, I just realized how much I started using it as a coping mechanism. I was becoming dependent on it, and I thought it would help me sleep. It was actually doing the opposite. A little things like that. I'm still enjoying my little sip of whiskey, but
you should switch to wine. It has a lot of antioxidants.
This is
it's health.
Yeah, and
for medicinal purposes.
Yeah, for medicinal purposes, right? But I'm not saying you have to quit drinking altogether. Just do it responsibly, because there are what we can sometimes think are something that's helping us. It's not, and that kind of segues into what I was going to say, and you mentioned it before. If you're going to work your whole body, also work your mind. Don't forget your mind. It's all synonymous. They all.
And I gotta say, that's one area I like, and I have on my list of to-do things every day to meditate. I'll probably hit it once a week, once every other week. It's I need to meditate more to calm my mind more, and your brain is also a muscle. So doing crosswords, reading.
Yes, I do art with my daughter. We have drawing time, creative time. We just start drawing. And we let whatever
logic puzzles, anything like that. Yeah. And again, plenty of apps up there. I don't like being on a device necessarily to do it, but it just, in modern lifestyle, it is so convenient. There's no reason to not take advantage of it if that's what you need to do.
Definitely.
I was talking to Dr. Nager. I think he mentioned also that drinking some is not
correct.
So bad.
It's not so bad.
There's a lot of research that says one drink is fine.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't do anything excessively. I do understand if you came to count on it as a coping mechanism, then taking a little break isn't maybe not a bad thing.
Right.
I just make a note for our next podcast to have just one glass of whiskey.
I'll make it look like whiskey.
Okay. Apple juice. All right. Anything else for our listeners?
No, I think we covered what we wanted to cover today, which actually was something we wanted to talk about for a while. Especially, again, the products are coming out soon. They're going to be available for those who are in pain. I highly recommend the pain bombs and the inhalers. Like I said, I always have them in my bags, in my pockets, and there's going to be so much more after that. So. For all the Silver Savages out there, whether you're hurting mentally, physically, we're here if you got questions.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Steve.
Yes, sir.
Till next time. We hope you enjoyed this latest episode. Please go ahead, like our podcast, leave us a comment, subscribe, check out our YouTube channel as well. and stay tuned for all that cool merchandise that is coming out, from our paint bomb to our inhaler and other swag like t-shirts, stickers, and more.